Let's start streaming here. Welcome. Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 3, Avengers ENDGAME discussion. I guess a little Walking Dead, anything you want to talk about, but spoiler warning for sure. Spoiler warning. Hopefully we do not lose connections. It's been happening the past couple Sundays. I don't know why, but I'm back. Last Sunday, I couldn't be here because it was Easter Sunday, and we had some brunches and stuff going on. So, obviously, spoiler warning for Game of Thrones, Avengers ENDGAME, because we're going to talk about it. It's in the thumbnail. It's in the picture. It's in the title. It's in everything, what we're talking about. So, obviously, spoiler warning. So, what's up, everybody? Thank you. Allie, Madison, Renee, and everybody. We're going to wait for a couple people to join, more people to join before we get talking about it. But today is April 28th. We're getting closer and closer to the filming season of The Walking Dead. So once that's going strong, we'll be able to talk more about that. But this weekend is all about Endgame and Game of Thrones. The Starks. Are they going to make it out? The Starks of Winterfell and Tony Stark. Thought it was pretty interesting. The Starks. It's a Stark Sunday, a Stark weekend for sure. But I'm excited to watch Game of Thrones. I watched Endgame yesterday. And again, I have to preface this. Spoiler warning, if you're watching it on the replay, spoiler warning for Game of Thrones, Endgame, a bunch of things like that, because I'm going to talk about it, discuss it. People probably ask questions. And I got some questions too, so maybe you can help me out a little bit. But Game of Thrones is tonight. I'm very excited because it looks to be the Battle of Winterfell finally happening. We've had 2 episodes of Game of Thrones. The first 2 episodes were good. They were, people being reunited, everybody coming around, and no one really died. Well, Ned Umber, and that was it, right? But we got the battle tonight. It's going to be tough. Who are we going to lose? Is it Brienne? Is it Jaime? Is it Tyrion? Is it Varys? Is it something? I don't know. It's one of those things where it's crazy, right? So, Endgame, I watched it yesterday, and it was awesome because it's the collaboration, culmination, whatever you want to say, everything coming together of the Endgame, of the first, the 22 movies coming together from Iron Man all the way to Endgame. And it's pretty awesome. And saw it. Sergio saw it twice. Nice. I saw it Saturday, and it was great. I mean, did you guys have 9 previews? My wife and I counted them because it's crazy. There was The Lion King, Star Wars, The Life of Pets 2, this movie, that movie. There were so many different. The Gemini Man. Did you have the 9 previews? And then we saw it at Regal, so it was a little Regal movie that they usually do, but it was crazy. So I think that it was a great ending of that saga. It was just pretty awesome to see everything come together. I'm excited for tonight's episode. It's a pretty great weekend for entertainment. That's for sure. To have the Endgame Saturday for myself. Some people saw it Friday. Some people are seeing it today. It was pretty awesome. I saw a good question here, Christina Phillips 29. Okay, I seen Endgame yesterday and loved it. I was a little confused though. How was Captain America able to use Thor's hammer? Can anyone please answer for me? That's a great question. That's one of my questions too. I guess he's worthy. I guess Captain America is worthy. I guess he had the ability all along, or was it something which changed over the timeline of something there too? But yes, he was wielding Thor's hammer, which was pretty awesome. I have to say, I loved chunky Thor. I'm not a Halloween guy, but that's a great Halloween costume. Chunky Thor to be somebody for Halloween. That would basically win Halloween. That's a great cosplay idea. Chunky Thor, do it. It'll be the hit of any party, right? But there was questions that I had too, like with Nebula shooting her old self, wouldn't she die, right? No, I guess not. And where did the Pegasus come from? I had to watch another video and had it be explained to me of who that one guy was at Tony's funeral, that it was the guy from Iron Man 3. And you're like, what? That's crazy, right? And I was, what the heck what that was about who that kid was. You're like, what? What is that? But the future is still going to go strong for the Marvel Universe. We got, Hawkeye's daughter. You got, Captain Marvel. You're going to have Morgan, Stark, I'm guessing, going forward, and we'll see what happens. Black Panther 2, and Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So that'd be pretty cool. I'm thinking that I hope Thor stays with the Guardians of the Galaxy, because that would be pretty great, because he's pretty hilarious. Chris Hemsworth Paul Rudd was pretty funny too, but Chris Hemsworth was probably the funniest part of that movie. And I loved seeing him have that comedic role potentially with Guardians of the Galaxy too. Yes, Ant-Man's daughter too. Good point. Exactly, right? And I'm thinking that would be kind of the future where it's going. And there is kind of a movement for, women empowerment and everything too. And that's cool. I'm down with that. And I do like a lot of characters. Maybe you throw a little this character with that one in there too, having Falcon and Winter Soldier playing a role with maybe Ant-Man and Wasp, and maybe they get Ant-Man's daughter in the role. And that Morgan Stark has got to play a role at some part, because especially Iron Man, that was such a big deal. She can be Iron Woman, so for sure. But yeah, it's a good point. The kid was there for a reason at Tony's funeral, and it was kind of like, what was that? But I don't know. I just liked it. I mean, it was, like I said in my review, it was an emotional roller coaster. It was like, yes, everybody's back. Oh my goodness, we're losing this character. Oh, the fight scenes, the nostalgia, the connections with other movies, the Easter eggs, the callbacks, the connections. Oh my goodness, it was like too much. It was like too much to handle sometimes. You're like, man, I'm like super excited. I'm super happy. I'm super sad. I'm just like, it was crazy. And these are fictional shows and fictional characters. They're not real, but we feel like they are, right? You're going to attach to Tony and Captain America and Falcon and just, Rocket, all these characters, and Thor, you're just like, man, I feel when Thor was talking with his mom, you're like, man, like that was a nice moment. And it was kind of crazy because the actress who played Thor's mom didn't really have a big role in the Thor movies at all. And it took Endgame to give her a bigger role. And I love the moment too, where Tony was talking to his father, because that was kind of a problem with Tony. He never really had the chance to say how he felt to his father, and this was kind of his thing. And it was great because that's what it's all about, really, in any form or fashion. In movies, in stories, in books, and in life. Relationships with your parents, with your family, with your wife, with your husband, with your daughter, with anybody like that too. It was just a nice way to come back around. And that was all about, and I think the Russos did a great job with it. The Thanos fight scene with Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man was awesome. But the whole time I was like, where's Captain Marvel? Captain Marvel is like barely in this movie. Okoye, Denai Guerrero is like barely in this movie. And it was like, man, what's going on here? But then they came back for the major fight scenes, and, it was pretty awesome. But I hope everybody gets to see this movie. And hopefully it's not spoiled for you, too. Hopefully everybody's in here has already seen it. But I was reading online that a couple things. That the running back for the Buffalo Bills, LaShawn McCoy, just went on Twitter after he saw the movie and started posting all these spoilers. Like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this happened. Why would you take this character, take that character? And you're like, what are you doing, dude? You have like 100,000, 400,000, I don't know, 1 million followers on Instagram and Twitter, and you're just ruining it for people. You're like, that's terrible. You're like, what are you doing? What are you doing too? And there's a big hashtag that's been going around, don't spoil the end game. So I don't want it to be like spoiled for anybody here, but it's spoil warning for all that stuff. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was definitely, it was roller coaster motion from the very opening scene to Captain getting his dance with Peggy. And it was just great. Stuff finally got to happen for Captain America. And I'm glad that he got to live the life that he was supposed to. But I got questions too. So if he just went back, he took the stones and Thor's hammer and gave the hammer back and did this and gave the stones back to where they were supposed to be to, keep the timeline the way it was. But how did he meet Peggy, and how did he go there? Did he just sit out of battles? Did he stay out of this? When did he go back to meet Peggy? Did he not go into the water with the Tesseract? What happened with that? Did he just go meet Peggy eventually, or did he not do certain things? Or did he take out Red Skull way before that and avoided that? I don't think we'll ever know, but I just think that he changed things a little bit where he didn't have to go into the water and he could actually meet Peggy for that dance one way or another. And yes, there's no post-credit scene. And I waited. I heard there was no post-credit scene, but I still waited. There is an Easter egg. I guess an Easter egg. It's a callback to Iron Man. It's subtle, but it's there. And I kind of wish there was a thing that had like everybody there, all the actors there saying like, thank you fans for making an awesome 11 years or something. And just thank you guys for the best fans in the world. We appreciate it. And hopefully you continue on with our success. See ya. Or something, because Marvel is one of those people, one of those companies that it was all about the post-credit scene, the mid-credit scene, the post-credit scene. And you're like, man, I wish every movie did that. Even if it was bloopers or something funny or something there setting up the next thing. And Marvel is comic books. Marvel is all about them setting up for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And if they basically did Infinity War correctly, they wouldn't have had Endgame. It wouldn't have set this up, but they had a chance to rewrite that. Anytime you play with time travel and time jumps and the time heist, you can play with that a little bit. So you can undo with things too. So I don't mind Falcon as the new Cap. I would think Falcon and Winter Soldier would be working together. So I don't think it would just be Falcon by himself. I think Winter Soldier and Falcon would be working together. So that's kind of cool in my book. And I kind of like that too. I was not pissed about the Iron Man death. I thought it was great. It started with Iron Man and it ended with Iron Man. The story all the way through was basically all about Iron Man starting this whole Marvel cinematic universe. Then we had the Hulk and Captain America and Thor and Iron Man and Thor 2, all those different things. And it was building over the years. And it was great too, It was pretty great. So I think it was great for what it is. So, yeah. Alberto, if you're seriously complaining about spoilers, it says spoiler warning all over this place. It says Game of Thrones Season 8 and Avengers Endgame discussion. Spoiler warning. So right there. So if you're really complaining about spoilers, then I don't know what to tell you. But, I'm not going around blatantly posting this anywhere else, but it's one of those things where you're like, come on, it had to be there too. So Preston doesn't understand how they were able to hold the stones, but the Guardians had all theirs. Exactly. That's another question that I brought up. The point too is, I guess it was because it was through Iron Man's hand that he was able to hold that. But how did the Hulk hold the Time Stone, and how are they able to hold the Soul Stone? How was it in his hand like that too? That's a great question. I don't know. Is it a mistake, a plot hole? Because the Infinity Stones were supposed to, wipe out the people. It was all powerful that you couldn't be able to hold it. But Hawkeye had the Soul Stone in his hand. I don't know if the Hulk actually touched the Time Stone. It's kind of glowing in his hand and floating a little bit too. And the Power Stone through, it's in the orb. So, what's his name? War Machine didn't actually touch it. So, but that's his questions, But either way, if you think about it too, it's just one of those things where it was fan service. And I saw it somewhere, and it was great that the final battle is so awesome. It's one of those moments that's like the best thing I've ever seen on film in just anything there too. Braveheart's battle scenes are great, and hopefully the battle Winterfell tonight is great. It's supposed to be great. It's supposed to be the best thing ever. Lord of the Rings battle is pretty awesome too, but there's just something about it, especially when they're fighting Thanos and they're doing this, and you're like, man, it's just like, yes, it's like I said, it's so many emotions. I'm like happy, I'm sad, I'm worried, I'm nervous, I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, oh, yeah, what are they going to do? You got the glove. What are you doing? And it was cool because especially when they went back and they did the whole time travel thing, which we kind of thought would happen, right? I mean, how could they go back and undo if they didn't go back in time? I mean, it just makes sense. But when they went back to stuff from Avengers and, all Age of Ultron and stuff, and you're like, man, that was pretty awesome when they went back to the other sequences and they're looking at it from an outside perspective, kind of like we were familiar with it, and that's pretty cool. But I'm excited. It's one of those movies that I think you got to watch it more than once to be like really appreciate it, but I'm excited to see how it is too, especially because I watched Infinity War on Friday night going right into the movie on Saturday, and it was definitely a good idea to do that because you get familiar with things, you can see how stuff goes, and you have to, man, the blonde Bricky saw it 3 times already, man. No wonder why this movie is making billions and billions of dollars already. And it's probably going to be the highest grossing movie of all times because so many people are invested in this world and this universe that it's awesome. Now let's talk about Game of Thrones a little bit. We got Game of Thrones tonight, episode 803, which is the halfway point of the season. I figure we're going to lose some people here, but I don't think we lose Jon or Dany or I don't know who else has to stay alive, right? I think Jaime stays alive. I think Brienne might go, Jorah, Grey Worm, maybe Varys. I think we're going to lose some big characters. It's got to be a big character, loss episode for sure. So it's one of those things that, man, I'm excited to see how it goes down. And it's a great weekend, for Infinity War, Endgame. Why watch Infinity War Friday, Endgame Saturday, and Game of Thrones tonight? It's just awesome for sure. So let's see what we got here. Doctor Strange went back to the Ancient One and gave her the Time Stone. So that was pretty cool. I like that too. One of my favorite parts of the movie was when the Sorcerer Supreme was like, boom, and hit the Hulk right in the chest and separated the Hulk and Bruce Banner. And you're like, man, that was pretty sweet. And Doctor Strange is kind of an underrated, I guess, sorcerer, wizard, superhero, because he's pretty powerful. He's pretty awesome. And I love the whole Scarlet Witch thing. That was pretty badass too. It was just cool, man. It was just so many moments. Like I can't even remember them all, but it's just coming into here that it's just pretty amazing too. So I'm sorry guys, I wasn't able to do a live stream last Sunday because it was Easter Sunday. Game of Thrones was awesome. It was a nice reunion, continued the reunion thing with Bran and Jaime was funny, and Tormund is my man. Tormund is hilarious. Tormund is one of those characters that I love, love, love. He's got the one-liners. He's the good secondary, tertiary character that is like, yeah, man, awesome stuff. Loved this story. I loved how excited he was for Brienne too, and there's this meme going around like, find someone who's just as excited for you and your success. Just like he was. He was super excited for Brienne, with Jaime, and you're like, yeah, that's kind of what you want for sure. And that's kind of a good moment there as well. But when we got good things going on Game of Thrones world, something bad is going to happen. The good and then the bad. And then the good and the bad. And ups and downs and highs and lows. That's what life's all about. And George R.R. Martin and the showrunners are doing a great job. Game of Thrones is definitely awesome for sure. So, Renee, great question. San Diego Comic-Con is July 18th through the 21st. We'll get a Walking Dead Season 10 trailer. That's a statement, I'm guessing. Yeah, we're going to probably get that. I think they do it on Fridays. Typically is the Walking Dead panel. They've been doing that, statistically and notoriously back in the day every year is Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con. They're going to start filming a week from Monday is the word. So May 6th is the first day of filming for Season 10. And I would assume more and more people will be coming back. And they should start filming around Alexandria and Hilltop and around, Sonoy and everything as well. So I'm excited for that, as always, for sure. Walking Dead is a big part of my life and a big part of my thing, and it's pretty exciting for sure. So, Sergio Fernandez and a Marvel Phase 4. So, Phase 4 will be coming, I guess, next year. I think the Russos are done with making their movie stuff. I know they want to make a documentary about Stan Lee. I know that's what they wanted to do next. And did you catch the Russo brother in the movie? He's been in a couple of different movies, too. And he was there right next to Captain America during the group meeting there. But Phase 4 will probably be starting next year, I would assume. Probably will be with maybe Black Panther 2, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, of course. And then I don't know what their plans are after that. I really don't know what they want to do going forward. I know that Spider-Man Far From Home comes out in July, and that's the last movie of Phase 3. So, exactly. Blonde Bricky, it's the last Phase 3. And then you got to think about what are they going to do with Deadpool? What's Marvel Disney owns Marvel, and now Fox. What are they going to do with X-Men? What are they going to do with Fantastic Four? What are they going to do with all that going forward? Are they going to reboot the whole Wolverine franchise? Are they going to reboot the X-Men? Are they going to do some major thing there? Is anybody excited for Dark Phoenix? I kind of am. I'm familiar with that, with Jean and Phoenix and everybody there, but I don't know. After Apocalypse, that was such a letdown. That was such a letdown of a movie. Apocalypse was supposed to be an awesome villain, and it was just super weak. It was super poorly done, but we'll see how it goes down. We'll see if anything connects, and we'll see what happens now going forward. Is there a Valkyrie movie? Is there going to be something going forward with Hawkeye's daughter? Is there going to be another Ant-Man movie? I don't know. I don't know what their actual plan is, but I think it's a lot to take in. If you watch all the Marvel movies, all 22 movies, that's a lot of material there too. Are they ever going to have a run like this again in any kind of movies? Are they going to have a run like Game of Thrones ever again too? And to their credit, the showrunners like D.B. Weiss and Dave Benioff, I forget how to say his name, but they've done a great job, and they've never really produced anything before ever. And I think they've done a great job with Game of Thrones. I think it's one of those things that should be, applauded for their efforts. I'm excited about it, and they've done a great job from every episode. I don't think there's really been a bad episode of Game of Thrones. Some been a little slower, some been a little duller, but always something has happened in there too with, big moments, big battles, good things, bad things. A lot of stuff has happened. And not every Marvel movie has been great. They ranked them on one of the websites I was looking at, all 22 movies, and they had Endgame as the 10th best movie. And I'm like, you're crazy. Endgame is definitely top 5. It might be number 5, but it's definitely top 5. I like Winter Soldier. I like Avengers. Infinity War is pretty good. Black Panther is good. And then I would go with, Endgame is 5 right there off the top of my head. But the Thor movies are pretty weak, except for Ragnarok. That was pretty good. It's probably Thor 1 and 2 is pretty bad. Iron Man 3 are definitely 3 of the worst movies in my opinion. I like Ant-Man. I like Ant-Man and the Wasp. I like Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Iron Man is good. Iron Man 2 is not so good. Incredible Hulk is kind of different because it's a different actor, so you could probably put that away down. Civil War is really good. Just thinking off the top of my head, it's like, man, Spider-Man Far From Home is really good. I don't know, just so crazy to think there's 22 movies. Age of Ultron was okay. Doctor Strange is a good movie too. It's kind of tricky when you start doing those. I might have to do a list of that too. I might have to do a top 22 ranked, movies of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But I don't know. It's one of those things where you're like, man, I feel after watching Endgame, I feel like, I accomplished something. Like I'm like, one of those things where I'm like, all right, man, we did it. We made it. Because one, I bought my tickets for the movie April 2nd, and it took 25 days to see that movie. You're like, man, we've been waiting for this thing for a long time. And you feel like, it was finally over, right? So I don't know. I don't know if they're going to have another run like this ever, right? Because Star Wars has been good, but the prequel series was kind of a letdown, and the last movie was pretty much a letdown. They all can't be winners, but the Marvel Cinematic Universe is so connected with so many people. Comic book fans, Robert Downey Jr. fans, and the big Chris Hemsworth fans, the fans there, kids, everybody, young kids, old people, young people. Everybody likes some sort of superhero, whether it's, Thor or Hulk or Captain America or Iron Man or something where they put it all together is pretty great. And it's one of those things where I don't know if they're ever going to do it again. So I'm excited for Game of Thrones tonight. And I asked my wife asked me, what are you more excited for, the movie or the episode tonight? And I was actually more excited for the movie because it was a long time coming. It's one of those things where I wanted to see what they were going to do, how they were going to do it. I knew a couple little spoilers going into the movie, but not enough that ruined anything for me by any means. And I'm glad I stayed away from spoilers. I'm glad I stayed away from spoilers for Game of Thrones and Endgame. Because if you know this channel, we talk about some spoilers going around for The Walking Dead from a variety of sources. And sometimes it kind of like skews you a little bit. You're waiting for it, you're anticipating, and it's nice to look at a show or a movie with blind eyes, going in fresh. And it was good because I was excited to see what they were going to do, how they were going to do it, and it lived up to the hype. They did a great job with it. And I can't say another movie that I've been that invested in and that crazy with, too. Like, there's been movies where it's been sad. I remember being like a young kid and watching The Lion King and being upset what happens with, Simba and Mufasa. They were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It was crazy, right? But then there was happiness and sadness and whatever in there too. But it wasn't like such a rush of adrenaline and exciting from the battle scenes in this. And, when Captain America is fighting Thanos, it was pretty awesome. And they did make Thanos like a super, super strong thing without the Infinity Stones. That was kind of crazy too. That you're like, okay, you got the hammer and the axe. You got Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. 3, badass Avengers, super strong, super smart. Even though Thor is kind of out of shape, right? I mean, he let himself go there for a while. And Thanos is still kicking all their butt. He was doing a lot here too. I was like, man. And Professor Hulk is one of those things you got to get used to it. You're like, well, what's up with this a little bit, too. And they did a good job with it. It was one of those things that were pretty cool. And you had to see Ragnarok to really appreciate it because they kind of started that whole process with the Hulk and Bruce Banner coming together, too. And it was pretty interesting. But yeah, no, that was pretty cool, Sergio. That was pretty smart, too, when he took the Infinity Stone out and then was like, boom, and then knocked him away. But even like before that, when he was going to jab the axe in Thor, put him in his chest, and you're like, whoa, that's crazy. But I guess Thor let himself go when he wasn't as strong as he would have been before, is kind of what it was, is what I got out of it. But it was pretty good. It was a pretty great thing, too. And I do have to say that Denai Guerrero wasn't really in it as much as I would have hoped, too. When they came out and you saw, that for the big battle scene, you're like, all right, that's pretty cool. I was excited to see how it went down, but you're like, man, I would hope that she would be in it a little bit longer. But yeah, beer belly Thor. I like it like chunky Thor. And even the little connections with the ice cream that Hulk was eating, takes a callback to a connection with Infinity War. It was pretty cool. But I just don't know if we're ever going to get another sequence like this ever again. And hopefully studios can do more of it and just connect more of it here and there. But since Disney owns Marvel and Star Wars and part of Fox now, you're like, man, they got the monopoly on it. They're going to be controlling things for a while. And hopefully they'll make Star Wars great, and hopefully they'll continue on with the future of things. But Marvel movies have been really good, if not great. Even like the worst Marvel movies are still entertaining. Even the Thor movies and Iron Man 2 and 3 and everything, it's just crazy too. So, yeah, did you notice the comic Easter egg with Cap saying Hail Hydra? Yeah, that was a big thing because in the comics, in the kind of a different altered timeline, he's a double agent. Well, he's a Hydra agent. And it's pretty cool too because you have the idea of it being comic connection, but he's also, and then when he got into the elevator, you're like, oh, that's Captain America 2 Winter Soldier. And you're like, oh man, he's going to fight all these people again? But no, he was smart this time. But when he fought himself, that was pretty great. So, yeah, we'll see, Sergio, what they do. Their kids will be the new Avengers, but who is going to be the bad guy, though? Who are they going to be? Could they really go against Galactus like that? What's going to be the next big villain, too? Because with all of their great superheroes, Marvel has like the superheroes. They don't really have the best supervillains. DC, I would give the edge to the supervillains for sure. Just the Joker alone is probably the best known villain there is. But the Marvel superheroes are just pretty amazing. So we'll see what they want to do down the road. And, with Game of Thrones, they do a great job of having a character that you like, don't like, to like again. like Theon Greyjoy. He's a character that you're like, he's okay, and then he's terrible, and then he got abused, and really karma retribution to him because he was terrible, and then he helps out, and he kind of does this, and he's a coward again, and then he helps out, and he's probably going to die this Sunday. He's probably going to die tonight, but we'll see what happens with those characters, and that's just great writing when you can see a character, the rise and fall, the ups and downs, the good and bad. It's pretty amazing too. And the Hound is one of those characters that I thought would be a character that was like that. But then I went back and I watched the whole series, and you're like, I pretty much like the Hound from the very beginning. He's pretty amazing from the very beginning. And hopefully he does not die, because he's definitely one of my favorite characters. And hopefully he sticks around. Hopefully him, Tormund, Tyrion, we'll see what happens. Going in tonight, episode 803. For the big episode, man. It should be awesome. The Starks had a big episode, or a big movie in there too. Not just Tony, Pepper, Morgan, Howard Stark. They were in there too. So you had a lot of Starks, and we're going to see some more Starks tonight. The House Stark. And it's interesting because I'm excited to see what happens with the future of Game of Thrones, the prequel series, and hopefully they eventually do another series with the Rebellion. Robert's Rebellion would be pretty awesome. I think that would be a pretty amazing another series to have for the show. But will they do it? Will they not? I don't know what the plan is for HBO, but this channel loves The Walking Dead, and is AMC going to eventually do something like that too, where they have a spin-off that connects it, or is it going to be the movies? Because a lot of people ask me all the time, are we going to get, 10 or 10? Are we going to get 12 seasons? How many seasons of The Walking Dead are we going to get? And I don't know the answer, but I would assume probably 12. We're going to get season 10. They're going to start filming that, next week. And that should be amazing. Then we're going to probably get another season, because that's got to be, what happens after season 10. And then season 12 could be the wrap-up season, or are the movies going to be the way it goes, the final thing of it too? So that's a great question, Mark. What's the timeline of the Black Widow movie? I don't know. We just don't know. There's kind of little information about that. For those who don't know, there was a rumor going around, or some news and some information, that we're going to get a Black Widow movie. I would assume it would be Black Widow and Hawkeye together. What happened in Budapest? We kind of want to know. They bring up that line, yeah, we're a long way from Budapest, or this takes me back to Budapest, or Budapest. We have to see what happened there, right? So that's before the Avengers were assembled, before all that stuff happened. So I would assume that is what happens with her Black Widow movie, is something that would be cool. And I do like Scarlett Johansson, and hopefully that would be pretty, worth watching. Sergio Modoc could be a good villain. I think he could be, and I mean, what's going to be the villain for Black Panther? I would assume it's Adam Warlock for the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movie, which would be pretty cool with Thor and, that crew right there going against Adam Warlock. We'll see what happens going forward with that. But I want to know, is Galactus ever going to come to the MCU? And you got to really build up the Fantastic Four. And you really have to have a good Fantastic Four movie. They've all been pretty bad. So, Renee, Bry, did you catch Ross Marquand, Aaron, comparing the future of The Walking Dead to Star Trek? Going to go on forever. Well, that was what, I don't know if it was the showrunner or executive producers or Kirkman or whoever. I think it was probably Gimple who said it, that Gimple wants The Walking Dead to be like Star Trek, to go on forever. And any franchise would love to have that, right? You want to have, Star Trek was big in the 60s or 70s, I forget. I'm not sure exactly when it started, maybe 60s, 70s. And then took a little break, came back in the 90s, took a little break, is big now again with the movies and the shows and this and Star Trek, The Next Generation, and, Voyager and all that stuff. And then the CBS All Access show now with Sonequa Martin Green, who played Sasha on The Walking Dead. She's in that. And then you can do spin-off movies and stuff like that too. It makes sense for sure. So I think that the big thing would be having The Walking Dead go on for as long as it makes sense and it doesn't get watered down. And if you just take a break. You don't have to stop, just rest. Game of Thrones took almost a 2-year hiatus to come back. You know, it was 20 months or something until it came back. So you can do that. Sopranos took a while for the last season, so you can take some time. I hope it goes on and it just continues on for a long time. I'm excited for getting information about the movies. We're going to get a second spinoff. If the spinoffs are going to get stupider and stupider and making no more sense, then just stop making them. You know, just don't have to continue something on that makes no sense to continue on. Just take a break, stop, reboot it, take a break and bring the actors back that want to do it too. You know. Exactly. There's nothing wrong with taking a break just to make sure it's done right. You don't have to have content all the time. You don't have to have a series and a series and a series all the time. You really don't. And especially with the zombie apocalypse show where we're going to lose some characters. We're going to lose some characters. We've already lost characters last season. We're going to lose characters this upcoming season as well, too, for sure. So, Josh, who are your top 3 guesses who are for sure going to die tonight of Game of Thrones? I think if I had to put money on the line, which I'm not, if I had to, I would put it on Theon Greyjoy, Grey Worm, and Jorah for my top 3. Brienne is definitely a possibility. Maybe Varys. I don't know. I could see something happen there. So top 3 would be Theon, Grey Worm, and Jorah, and then throw Brienne in there too. That's my list for sure. So great question, Mark. Can Daryl, Carol, and Judith carry it? I think so. I think Daryl and Carol are going to have to carry it one way or another. And I think Judith is the future. I think Judith is a character that could carry a lot of the show. Could she carry the whole show? No. One aspect for sure. But if you had Carol, Daryl, Negan, Judith, maybe a little bit of Maggie, Jerry, Magnus group, you could still have a very entertaining show. For sure. But, I mean, losing badass Michonne is going to be tough. And yeah, that's a good point too. Renee Aaron. Aaron could have this big shift that he was taught how to fight by Jesus, and he becomes the new martial arts badass guy on the show. So, Preston thinks Sir Davos may be dying tonight, I think. Really? I think Davos is a survivor. I think Davos would get away and something will happen where he survives. If he survived the Battle of Blackwater the way he did, I think he survives here too. But I just think whatever happened last episode to the big characters like Brienne, it's going to be tough. And I don't think she sacrifices herself tonight. I think she gets in a precarious situation that she has to kind of defend someone to get away, and she lets Podrick and maybe Jamie and somebody get away, and she gets taken out accordingly. Or some heroic, epic death, I think, happens too. So, Mark Simmons, Michonne leaving Judith, though? I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Michonne leaving is going to be one of those situations where how could she leave Judith and RJ? How could that happen, right? I just don't know. Because what could happen? What would make sense for that to happen? Why would she not take her with her, right? I just don't know how they're going to get around that, too. So, John Graham, do you think Tyrion kills Cersei as told by the witch? Well, it could be Jamie, too, because I believe the word is that Cersei was born first, probably minutes before Jamie, because they're twins, and then Tyrion was definitely the younger brother. So it could still be Jamie. Jamie could be the one that takes out Cersei. What if Tyrion dies and he becomes a White Walker? Or a White, not a White Walker, a White. And what if he gets turned to the dark side, the army of the dead? And they come marching there, and Bronn tries to take out Jamie, and he finds out that Bronn was paid by Cersei to do it, and he goes and takes her out. I still think Jamie could do it. Maybe Tyrion, but I still think Jamie has there as well. So, there was a Namor reference in Endgame, Sergio. Is that a question, or is that just saying? What do you mean by that? Josh, I can't wait for the Walking Dead movies. I miss Rick. Yeah, I miss Rick too, but I think they've done a great job without Rick. I think the show is one of those things that they rebounded very nice. I think it happened around the right time that you could bring in Magnus Group. Michonne could carry a little bit. Older Judith helps out a lot. Kaylee Fleming, the casting of Kaylee Fleming does a great job. And it's kind of throwing the show for a loop because what are you going to do? And that was the thing I was talking to my wife about, right? So if you go all the way back to Iron Man, right? Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. started the whole MCU. Jon Favreau started it, right? So I think that they had the idea with casting the right people. Robert Downey Jr. was great. Chris Hemsworth's great. Chris Evans, Chris Pratt, Batista, all those people that were there. They haven't left that role. They were the actor for that role the entire run of all those movies. That helps out a lot. How many different Batmans have we had? How many different Jokers have we had? How many different actors have played a different role in that MC and the DC universe? Big difference when you have it too. So, Sergio, the earthquake underwater. Yes, that could be something for sure. That could be setting it up because they're like, it was an earthquake. Did you check it out? Did you do anything? Well, no, it's an earthquake. That's what you do. You leave it alone. So that could be something something could be building for the future, that earthquake. And that's what good writing does. You plant the seed in there, and then it grows into something. The Walking Dead does it. The MCU does it. The shows do it. It's great. So we'll see. Preston, I think Cersei really hired Bronn, or is that Qyburn trying to kill off the Lannisters and we'll have the Mountain kill Cersei later? Remember season 3, the Lannisters and the Mountain about killed him. Yeah, no, that would be crazy. That would be crazy if that was the twist there too. If Qyburn was the one to take that role, but does he really want to go against Cersei like that? Because I think that the Mountain is, there for Cersei. So the Mountain is going to go with Cersei for sure, unless he has some control over the Mountain and that happens. Qyburn could be the bad guy. That would be pretty crazy. Maybe Dany actually turns out to be the true villain, is a lot of other things as well. But we'll see how it goes down. I mean, it's great. It's great questions. It's something that we'll have to wait and see and hope it gets answered in the final 4 episodes. Josh Jack Zone. I heard a theory about the Night King bringing the dead dragon in the crypt. The dead dragon in the crypt is alive. Crypt's alive. And the crypt's alive. I don't know. That would be crazy. I wonder what the Night King is going to do, because the Night King is one of those things that if he raises everybody up, and what happens, are we going to have, the Stark bones turning into a person again? Because they're not really, the bones would just fall apart. I mean, the flesh and everything would fall apart, and the bones would be sitting there. Could he really make the person again? Does the bones form a person? Because they're just sitting in the box. The person's not there too. So I don't know what's going to happen too. I just feel like we're going to lose one of Dany's dragons again. And they might have a second dragon. That'd be crazy, right? They're going to have to take out the Night King to stop the dead dragons and the army of the dead. If you stop the Night King, they all fall. But how are they going to do that? How are they going to get to him? I don't know. So, Mark Simmons, Renee, she might not leave until the end of the season. Yeah, there's a lot of talk going around. We just don't know what's going to happen with Michonne and Denai Guerrera. So it's supposed to be a handful of episodes. Some people think it's going to be the first half and the second half. Maybe she's in like 3 episodes in the first half and 2 or 3 episodes in the back half. But what are they going to do in between all that time? What is she going to do for the Whisperer War? When, if, how is Maggie going to come back? That's another great question too. And we'll see. Once we find out more information, we'll always share it with you guys. But it's just a cool thing to have for, just discussions for sure. So you think someone could have came back with Cap when he put back the stones? I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do going forward. I just think it was the final send-off for Captain America. He finally got to be with Peggy. He finally got to have that dance. I'm guessing he married, Peggy Carter. That was his wife, right? And it was great. He had a whole life. He could do all those things. He could do all the things still and still have a life with Peggy. Because he missed out on so many things, right? And that's was kind of fitting with the Iron Man situation, because Iron Man didn't lose Pepper. Had a child. Got to have that whole thing there too. So it was like, man, Morgan should be the future of the Starks on the MCU. And then we could hopefully see how it goes down with. I don't think Pepper Potts will be, well, Pepper Stark will be around because she said she's done. So is it Gwyneth Paltrow or the Pepper character is done? Maybe it's a different character or a different actress to play the character. So we'll see. But the future is still bright for them. But I kind of feel like, yep, I'm probably done with the MCU movies for a while. Give a little break for it because it's a lot to watch all those movies. But we'll see if it keeps our interest there too. So. There is an old man Cap in the comics. There is, but I know Chris Evans is done under contract. So again, we could just get new people cast as those, but you get an old man Captain America. He finally looked old, he was like so old and he finally got to see that old man Cap, which was pretty cool. So hopefully we'll see it. And it's one of those things that I definitely recommend it for sure. Josh Jack Zone, you think Dany will become the Mad Queen? It sure looks like it, for sure. I think so, and I think Jon has to actually take her out. I think that some people are thinking that she could be the Night Queen, but that'd be kind of weird. I just think that she is so hell-bent with power that she's so worried about the Iron Throne. Like the last episode, Jon told her that he's a Targaryen. That they are related. And her response is, what? I'm promised the Iron Throne. She's only worried about the Iron Throne. She's worried about that, not that she was just with her, part of her family. But I guess back then it didn't matter. And again, this is like a fictional world, so I guess in this universe, in this world, it doesn't really matter that you're with. And the Targaryens did marry off Targaryens with Targaryens and the Lannisters and this. So I don't know. That's kind of weird. It's just not a thing that people, I don't know. But we'll see what happens. I think she's leaning towards that where she's so hell-bent on becoming, maybe after this battle, right? Because I would assume that Drogon lives and she flies away with Drogon. Because how are they going to get away? How are they all going to get away? I think they get away from Winterfell. Winterfell falls. And then the dragons have to fly away, whoever's left, and they get away, and then she goes to King's Landing to take what is hers, which is the Iron Throne, in her opinion. Maybe the Golden Company, the army that is with Cersei, goes against Cersei because they are loyal to Targaryens. What if Dany goes to King's Landing, and there's that whole thing, and then the Night King goes to King's Landing after Winterfell, because that's got to happen, right? And that's what sees another big battle at King's Landing. And then also the Iron Throne is melted down and destroyed, and King's Landing is totally destroyed. So all this, them working together, has been for nothing. And the Iron Throne doesn't matter anymore because everyone's gone. And then they finally kill off the Night King. My question is, what happens with Melisandre? When is she coming back? And what is she doing? Is she going to resurrect people again? Is that going to be a chance or a possibility? Or does the Night King raise everybody that was killed, whoever gets killed in the battle, and they become part of the army of the dead too? So should be very, very exciting tonight. So Jon thinks the Mad Queen will be happening with Dany, but I think so. Yeah, Tamara, I think so too. I think Dany is actually becoming the villain. Like I said, I think that's how it plays out in my head. I think Winterfell falls, Dany takes her people and whoever away, and then she goes to the King's Landing with her dragon and starts burning up the place, and the Golden Company actually turns to her side to help her fight, because that's what the word is. They like the Targaryens. They're loyal to the Targaryens, and Drogon starts lighting up all of King's Landing and the fire, and there's another battle there, and then she actually takes her rightful spot on the Iron Throne, but whoever is still alive fights actually her in the last 2 episodes or whatever, final episode of that, and Jon could be the one that actually takes her out, or they both die or something there too. So Preston says Melisandre may already be in Winterfell. Saw a video today stating she is actually the little girl with the scarred face. You think so? I mean, she really looks that different now? Is that what happened? Is that she had the ability to look like that? Which was a pretty cool callback to Stannis' daughter and Davos, and that's what I immediately thought, is like seeing her. It was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. So Yeah, exactly, Tamara. I think the Unsullied and the Dothraki are going to get taken out pretty good. I mean, there's going to be, they got 100,000 people coming towards Winterfell, or the Army of the Dead coming towards Winterfell, and they're going to eventually surround them all the way around, right? So we'll see how my big question is, how do they get away? Because if that happens, I mean, Bran's in a wheelchair. I mean, how can he get, is he just going to get on a horse, get thrown on a horse and they ride away or get flown away? Because they highlighted Jon on a dragon. So is he going to be able to put people on there and fly away? I just think so, for sure. So, yeah. Yeah, she can change her look, Preston, but would she really go to become a little child? And how would we know that's her? I mean, my summer of speculation is all about Walking Dead is my big thing, but people are talking out their butt cheeks with all this stuff too, with Game of Thrones theories and this and that. And this is going to happen. That's going to happen. This is going to happen. Night King, Bran, this, that. It's like every theory after theory after theory, and it's fun to talk about, but it's just a little crazy after a while. It's like, just let it play out a little bit too. Like everybody wants to crack that code. Everybody's like, I told you, I want to be the one. I told you that. I told you what happened. I knew how Game of Thrones was going to end. I told you what was going to happen here. Everybody wants to, be the one that's like that. It's like, let's just enjoy it a little bit. But either way, I'm excited for tonight. Endgame is a movie that I want to watch again. I don't know when it's going to come to Netflix, if it's going to go from Netflix to Disney Plus. That could be on Disney Plus too. And that would be really smart of Disney if they put it on their streaming service, Disney Plus, for Endgame in November when it launches. That would make a lot of people sign up for Disney Plus. And I think it's like $6-7 a month. I know I would sign up to watch it, even if it's just for a month. But we'll have to see. Hopefully it goes on Netflix, because I got Netflix too. So, maybe they can go on both services. I don't know what's going to happen with those movies, if it's going to just all transfer over to Disney Plus and get off of Netflix, because that'll really hurt Netflix if it does, but Disney's not really worried about that I'm sure. Maybe they can. Maybe they sold it to Netflix and they're still going to clean up that way. Maybe. But we'll see. So, yeah, it's good. That's a good point, Preston. Don't know, but she would have to go incognito because Jon and Davos would have killed her for returning. That's true. That's a good point. I don't know, like, is she going to be by herself? Is she going to be bringing people with her? Can she really just change her look that easily? What if that little kid was wearing the necklace, though? Wouldn't she have to wear the necklace to have that? They would have to make some connection with the necklace that Melisandre wears, even though I know the one time she was in the tub and she wasn't wearing the necklace, but she still looked young, when she's like 4,000 years old. But we'll see. TSM Whisperer 7, Iron Man or Cap? I think both bring a lot to it. I was definitely for Captain America during Civil War. I was on Team Cap, not Team Iron Man. But both bring great stuff. Iron Man and Captain America are awesome. And when they were kind of fighting in the movie, or when Iron Man wasn't happy about Captain America's whole thing early on, I was like, whoa there, Tony, back it down a little bit, Because Captain America he's kind of like overly positive and always trying to find the good things, the positive things there too, which it can be cool, but after a while you're like, don't try to put sunshine on this moment. You just can't. Sometimes it's really hard to do. Like in Infinity War, they lost half of the people in the world. But again, my other question to you is that, so say there's 8 billion people, 7 billion people, whatever, billions of people, and Thanos, and then 7 becomes 3.5 billion people in the world. Why does the world look like a dystopian universe? And why were there cars and this and that and so many people not doing this? You still got 3 billion people on the planet, 4 billion people on the planet. That would be a lot of people still to do things. It's not like there was only like 500 people left in the world. I was like, why does it look so run down for that? But that would still be a lot of people and a lot of homes and a lot of things too. And over the 5 years, people would be born again. People would still be having kids. People would still be having relationships. And, even though people would still be in loss and in mourning for sure, life would still go on. Like Tony, he didn't lose his people, so he still carried on. Some people might have got lucky and didn't lose any loved ones. Some people definitely did for sure, but it's just a fun discussion. I don't think we're ever going to get that answer, but we'll see what happens. So my dad thinks that one of the main characters is the faceless man and has a goal in mind, but I'm not sure about that. So Josh Jackson thinks that. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there too. Will, Jack and Haga come back around? I don't know. I mean, it'd be safe in Bravo, so I'd be staying away there too. What if everybody thinks like, oh yeah, the Iron Islands are safe? Like, Yara is safe there. And then the Night King's got his dragon, and he's like, flies over there and just blows it all up with the fire. And was like, later, and just leaves. You're like, yeah, nowhere is safe because I got this dragon now, and I can fly wherever I want. That would be pretty crazy. I would love to see that happen, actually. Well, not kill Yara, but what if he takes out Euron Greyjoy instead of Yara? That would be pretty cool. But, yeah, I just think that I don't know what's going to happen tonight for the battle. I think it's going to be epic. It should be great. Endgame definitely lived up to the hype. I thought it was great. I'm probably going to, wait for it to come on television or Netflix or whatever. I probably won't go to the movie theaters, but I know some people will because it's definitely awesome for sure. So I don't know if the Endgame is going to make $100 billion, but it's definitely making a lot of money. And I don't really care how much it makes because I don't have any part of that. But it's pretty great to see that it's making so much money, and it is a great thing on there too. So thank you guys for watching. I'm going to end there today. Thank you guys for watching this live stream and being a part of our live stream every Sunday. I'll be back next Sunday to talk about probably Game of Thrones, a little bit of Walking Dead stuff if we heard anything, and as well anything you want to talk about. Thank you guys for watching, and truly watch and enjoy tonight's episode of Game of Thrones, episode 803. The Battle of Winterfell should be amazing, and I hope it lives up to the hype. Thank you guys for watching. I truly appreciate it. And remember, guys, with hard work, dedication, and belief and sacrifice, you can truly achieve your goals. Believe in yourself. You can do it. It's about love, support, staying positive, making memories. Enjoy tonight's episode. And if you haven't seen Endgame already, I highly recommend it. It's definitely a great video. And see you guys. See ya.